Welcome to another Pearl Lemon Legal YouTube video. And today we're going to discuss how to settle your insurance claim without a lawyer. Now, many of you have probably tried and potentially even succeeded. Although when cases become more complex, a lot of the time it can feel like you're working or even fighting against your insurer rather than with them to have them perform the obligation that they signed on when you entered into that policy with them. We're going to talk you through some of the things you can do to equip yourself, give you a better chance of being successful when claiming against insurance and when you need to claim against insurance, and they're giving you more hoops than answers. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand what your policy actually says, specifically what you're covered for, which amounts you're responsible for, understand concepts like excess and liability, and go from there. Once you understand your policy, the next step is to act quickly. Don't leave weeks in between the incident and when you're actually claiming. Claim as soon as possible with the insurer. When it's more recent, you're also more able to recall details, to record details, to take photos and videos. So take action as soon as possible. And as I mentioned, take videos, document everything. Your correspondence with the other party, if there is another party, the incident, photos and videos, write a timeline of what's occurred, make sure you've got things in writing, and then contact your insurer in writing. A lot of people call the insurer. Unfortunately, the problem with this is that even though those calls might be recorded, they're not always recorded by our clients or just you as the individual. And so it's best to submit things in writing, in email. If you need to put pressure on the insurer to respond, then give them a call and make a reference to your email. The next thing that's going to happen is the insurer is going to respond and they're going to say, we need your policy number, we need photos of the incident, we need a breakdown. Be ready to provide that as soon as possible. Unfortunately, they have turnaround times that at best are 2 to 3 days, and at worst can be up to 28 days. And I say that from experience. So the sooner you can provide the information, the better. And then, unfortunately, we do see some clients get irritated because it is frustrating, and we do understand that. And at that stage, instructions don't get followed. And really, it's very counterproductive when working with an insurance company. So it's best just to follow the instructions unless they become unreasonable. And that's why you need to would need to have reviewed your policy to know when they're being unreasonable. The next step would be, if you do get a settlement offer, review it based on your policy, based on similar circumstances, determine whether or not it's fair. And then again, document everything. So stick to emails, have a folder for your particular claim, and record everything as much as possible there. Now, we did mention some of this already, but when you are building your claim pack, the insurer is either going to ask for this immediately or later. That is one of the frustrating things about insurers, that they'll ask for 3 documents and then you'll provide them, and then they'll mention a 4th and a 5th. So here are a few of the things you might want to have. Your insurer might have a specific claim form for your specific claim. It might not as well, but if it does, find that claim form and complete it. You want to include your policy documentation. In your claims, you might have a policy document. That's how it works with car insurance, with home insurance, and your policy number in all correspondence. Create your incident report with a timeline, time-stamped or date-stamped, with witness statements of people who were present that they are willing to sign off on, photos and videos. And then when it starts to get to costs, try and create a breakdown. Google Sheets or Excel work fantastically. Create a breakdown of the cost of repairs and replacements. Now, those might be estimates. If you can, obtain invoices and receipts. Many insurers will make it seem as though you can only get a claim paid out with invoices and receipts. There are some cases where you're able to to get estimates paid off, but you need to have other specific information. If, for instance, your clothing has been lost or damaged, you might need to say when it was bought, what exactly it was, where it was bought, and then based on that, the insurer may provide an estimate which you might not be happy with, but they would then provide an estimate of the value of those clothes, and it may or may not correspond with yours. Finally, you may be in a position where you actually need to negotiate a bit. The insurer may agree to pay off certain items and not others. It may agree to cover certain damages and not others. And so to negotiate effectively, we will reiterate certain elements that we've discussed before, which would be things like understanding your policy. If you know it's in your policy and your insurer has not offered to cover things it should have, you'll be aware of that and you'll be able to call them out on it, for lack of a better phrase. You'll want to gather and organize your evidence so that you have a clear mind when entering into any negotiation and you know what you can prove. You'll also then have, if you've done your incident report, you'll be able to refer back to that. In your dealings, you do want to remain polite and professional, especially if you're drafting emails. When naming or when creating your cost breakdown, you'll want that to be reasonable, not exorbitant, not far exceeding the value of what you actually paid, and your insurer may provide a response. Consider whether or not they are in fact being reasonable before becoming upset if you feel it's far below your estimation. Finally, what happens if your claim's denied? Well, there are a few options available to you. The first would be to escalate it to another department in the insurance company. You might have gone through complaints. There might be someone above that you can speak to. It has been our experience that does at times work. If that doesn't work, or perhaps prior to even going that route, you could complete your insurer's appeals process. Most insurers will have a clearly defined appeals process if you aren't satisfied with their claims, and that would escalate the matter as well. If that remains unfruitful, you might want to get the insurance ombudsman involved. Now, again, from experience, we found that on occasion, the insurance ombudsman or the individual representing the insurance ombudsman handling your case may not be a senior member. They might be a junior member. They might still be in their formative years. And as a default, they can at times side with the insurer. Now, that does make it a little bit tricky, because saying that, you then don't know when they've done that without necessarily considering the facts of your case in full, or whether they've defaulted to the insurer is typically right, which unfortunately they typically are, because they do understand their policies better than the people using them in most cases. However, if you still feel that they're wrong, you can appeal that decision as well. And if that remains unfruitful, it's probably time to take legal steps to approach a consultant. It might even be helpful in some cases to approach a professional at the start, just to help in the claims process, to avoid making some commonly made mistakes that we did discuss earlier. And then finally, and this is probably the piece of advice that's the hardest to accept and at times the hardest to give, but that would be patient. Unfortunately, it's not as urgent to the insurer as it is to you, but if you can remain calm and level-headed and rather be persistent, if a little annoying, than disgruntled, lose your temper, or anything like that, you do stand a chance, or much better chance, of being successful. All right, that's all for today. We are happy and would love to help you if you are finding yourself in an insurance claim dispute. We've had a lot of success doing it already. So please be in touch if that's you. Otherwise, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you with another video soon.